Good morning, everyone. So what we're gonna learn about today is basically the moons and the other small objects that are in our solar system, other than the planets. So we have in our solar system contains a lot of other smaller objects. We have moons, we have dwarf planets, we have comets, we have asteroids, and we have meteorites. Now today we're gonna learn about these, and tomorrow we're gonna learn about these because this has three different categories that we can discuss. Okay? Alright. So, moons they're rocky bodies, they're made of rock, okay, that orbit larger bodies. They do not orbit the sun. Okay, if they orbit the sun, then maybe if they're large enough, they'd be called a planet or a dwarf planet, but they don't orbit the sun. Okay, they orbit other planets. Okay, our moon orbits the Earth. Other moons orbit the planets, but they do not orbit the sun. That's the only thing you know, the difference between a moon and a dwarf planet or other planets, is that the moon orbits planets, the planets orbit the sun. Some moons are round, such as the Earth's moon, it's kind of round, but moons are sometimes not round. Look at that. Okay, they have sometimes different shapes, might maybe elliptical, but not all of them are round, some of them are round. Okay. Now the difference between moons and dwarf planets is that moons, they do not orbit the sun, but dwarf planets, they actually do orbit the sun, but they lack a certain criteria, okay, for them to be classified as planets. Okay, they're called dwarf planets because they're kind of smaller. Most dwarf planets are in areas that are surrounded by many small or large objects. Pluto was once considered a planet, but because of its size and some of its characteristics, it's no longer a planet, it's a dwarf planet. Dwarf comes from the word, it means smaller, okay? So the difference between dwarf planets and moons is that moons, they orbit planets, dwarf planets, they orbit the sun. Okay, they're called dwarf because they're smaller. They're not considered planets because they lack certain technical criteria. Okay, sorry, trying to erase. Comets are like small bodies of ice, rock, and dust. Okay, you have to know what they're made of. They're made of ice, rock, and dust. They follow elliptical orbits. Elliptical orbits are orbits like this. These are elliptical orbits. Okay, that means they orbit objects. As a comet passes close to the sun, when the comet gets close to the sun, okay, the gas and dust break off because it's made of ice. So what happens is this ice directly turns from solid to gas, which is called sublimation, and it breaks off and makes a tail. You can see this kind of tail. These are comets. Okay, but they only do that when they come close to the sun. It becomes too hot, the gas and dust, they break off, they make a kind of a tail. Okay? And the last, what we need to know about today is our asteroids. Asteroids are small, irregular shaped rocks and metallic bodies. Okay? They range in size of like a car's. One can be a size of a car, or it could be several meters across. Okay, that means bigger than a car. Although most asteroids orbit the sun in an asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. So you see, this is Mars over here. Wait, hold on. Look at the picture. This is Mars over here. This is Jupiter over here. This is the asteroid belt. These are all asteroids. These are rocks, metallic bodies. So in our solar system, there's an asteroid belt, and it orbits the sun. Okay? Some travel in elliptical orbits, but most of them are in this asteroid belt. They cross orbits and bodies, including Earth. Okay? Sometimes they cross bodies, sometimes they cross Earth. Okay? So, what you need to know mainly about asteroids is that they are located between Mars and Jupiter, and they move in something called an asteroid belt. Okay? And they're also made of rock and metallic object. And they can be as small as a car or like 4 or 5 times bigger, depending. Okay. Meteorites are for tomorrow. That's all you gotta know for today. Please finish the class instructions. Good luck. If you have any questions, ask me on Shobi.